All right, today we're going to tackle something called deconstruction. It's a way of thinking that really questions, well, everything we think we know about meaning. And trust me, it's a super powerful tool. To unlock it, we're going to start with a very famous question that might not be a question at all.
Yeah, you know this one. It's got to be the most famous question in all of literature, right? Posed by Shakespeare's Hamlet. For centuries, we've treated it like this big puzzle about life, death, and whether or not to act.
Okay, but what if we've been looking at this all wrong? What if the real mystery isn't about finding the answer to be or not to be? What if the mystery is actually baked into the language of the question itself? That, right there, is the door that deconstruction kicks open.
You know, Hamlet's whole thing, his constant indecision and madness, well, that's going to be our perfect case study. Through his eyes, we're going to dive into a pretty radical way of reading that absolutely turned the 20th century on its head. So first, to really get what deconstruction is doing, you kind of have to know what it was fighting against. Before it came along, a theory called structuralism was the big deal. Structuralists believed everything, a book, a myth, a society, had a hidden blueprint, a stable structure underneath. They read texts like they were trying to solve a math problem, hunting for that one single correct answer.
And then, deconstruction just comes in and flips the whole table over. Think about it like this. If a structuralist sees meaning as a solid, perfectly built pillar, a deconstructionist sees it as a wave in the ocean. It's always moving, always shifting, and you can never totally pin it down. They argued that meaning isn't stable. It's slippery and always just a little bit out of our grasp.
So who's the mastermind behind all this? Well, that would be the French philosopher Jacques Derrida. And he didn't just come up with a new idea, he gave us a whole new toolkit for how to read and think.
Derrida showed up in the 1960s, and he basically looked at everyone searching for these neat, tidy answers and said, hold on a second. He argued that our whole way of thinking is built on some pretty shaky ground, especially when it comes to how we assume language works as this clear, direct path to truth.
All right, enough theory. Let's grab that toolkit and actually put it to work on Hamlet. This is where you'll see how deconstruction isn't just some abstract idea. It's a hands-on method for finding all the hidden cracks and contradictions in a story.
Okay, tool number 1, spotting binary oppositions. Our world is built on these, right? Good versus evil, reason versus emotion, life versus death. Derrida pointed out that in Western thought, we almost always value one side more than the other. The first move of deconstruction is to show that actually you can't have one without the other. They depend on each other completely. And this is why Hamlet is just the perfect playground for deconstruction. That huge question, to be or not to be, totally messes with the life/death binary. And is Hamlet actually mad, or is he just acting? The sanity/madness opposition just falls apart. The play basically refuses to give us any solid ground to stand on.
All right, next tool, the trace. This one's a little spooky, but it's brilliant. The idea is that you only know what a word means because of all the things it doesn't mean. The word light only really has meaning because you know what dark is. So every word carries this kind of ghostly trace of its opposite to even exist.
And come on, is there a better example of this anywhere than the ghost of Hamlet's father? He is the ultimate trace, a character who is physically not there, yet his command, his memory, haunts every single second of that play. His presence is literally defined by his absence. This brings us to Derrida's most famous and, trickiest idea. Différance. Spelled with an A, and that's on purpose. It's this clever French pun that means two things at once. To differ, as in a word is different from another, and to defer, as in to postpone something. The idea is that meaning is always on the move. We can gesture toward it, but we can never truly grab it, because it's always being pushed just a little further down the road.
And this is the mind-blowing part. Hamlet's infamous procrastination, his inability to just get the job done, that's not just a personality quirk. It is Différance in action. His endless search for the perfect, final moment of revenge, a moment that keeps getting put off, is the perfect metaphor for our endless search for a final, stable meaning that never quite arrives.
Okay, last tool for today, the supplement. Think of it like this. You add a patch to something to fix it, but that patch actually shows you how weak the original fabric was all along. So the thing you add to complete something ends up revealing that the original was never really complete to begin with.
In Hamlet, the mousetrap, the play within a play, is the ultimate supplement.
You've got the real world of the Danish court, right? Everyone thinks they know what's what. Then Hamlet brings in this fake play as a supplement. And what happens? That fake thing, that supplement, blows the lid off the real world, exposing Claudius's guilt and proving the original reality was built on a lie.
Now, yeah, Hamlet is a fantastic example. But this whole toolkit, it's not just for English class. Deconstruction gives us a way to look at, well, pretty much any system that uses language and has a structure, which, when you think about it, is almost everything.
I mean, its influence was huge. It popped up in philosophy, of course, but also in legal studies, where it questions if a law's meaning is ever truly stable. It's used in feminist and post-colonial theory to take apart power structures. In any field it touches, deconstruction is there to challenge the big authoritative truths.
Now, you can probably guess that not everyone was thrilled about this. A lot of critics accuse deconstruction of being just chaos. They said it leads to a world where anything goes, where there's no such thing as truth. But Derrida always pushed back. He argued it wasn't about destroying meaning, but about being more responsible and more aware of how we construct meaning in the first place.
So, where does that leave us? What's the point of all this? Deconstruction isn't about proving that texts mean nothing. Not at all. It's about revealing that they can mean so many things, often in very contradictory ways. It's really just an invitation to be a more active, more critical, and more engaged reader of the world.
And that leads us to maybe his most famous and definitely most misunderstood quote. When he said this, he didn't mean that, trees and chairs don't exist. He meant that our understanding of the world, our reality, our history, our identity, is always filtered and structured through language, kind of like a text. There's no way to step outside of the systems of meaning that we live in.
So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Deconstruction teaches us that what looks like a final answer in a book, in an argument, in life, is often just the beginning of a much more interesting question. So, what's the final word in your world that might actually be the start of something new?